What's going on, everyone? Today we're exploring one of my all-time favorite states, Utah. Utah just might be the best state for road tripping, hiking, and all-around adventure. In this video, we're not going to be going to any of the hot spots or super well-known places. Today we're going to be diving into lesser-known places in Utah and places that are a great alternative to some of the touristy spots in Utah's state and national parks. So hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive right in. This is my top 20 places in Utah you've never heard of. First up at number 1, we have Fisher Towers in Moab, and this is an incredibly scenic area between Moab and Grand Junction, and it's also close to Castle Valley. The main hike here is the Fisher Towers Trail, which is 4.2 miles round trip with about 1,500 feet of elevation gain. It will take you to Balance Rock, the Alien, and the most famous rock, the Titan. There's also some amazing rock climbing here with a very iconic multi-pitch route. Next up, we have Marlboro Point, which is also in Moab. This is an amazing spot located between Dead Horse State Park and Canyonlands National Park. It's a viewpoint that has endless stunning views of the canyon below. It's one of the most unique views in Moab with its nearby buttes and rock towers. To visit Marlboro Point, you will need a four-wheel drive vehicle and high clearance. We made it no problem in a stock Toyota 4Runner, but anything less than this, I probably wouldn't even attempt to drive this road. Next up in Canyonlands National Park is Druid Arch, and for Canyonlands, most of the people that visit stick to the Island in the Sky District and go to places like Mesa Arch, but to get to Druid Arch, you're going to be further south in the Needles District of the park, and geographically this isn't terribly far, but because of the terrain, you have to drive south towards Monticello all the way around the park. It's a 1 hour and 45 minute drive from Moab, and for reference, compared to the most popular hike in the park, Mesa Arch, it is a 2 hour and 30 minute drive from here to the Druid Arch trailhead. This trail is beautiful. It takes you through slot canyons, dried riverbeds, and beautiful sandstone rock. Towards the end of the hike, there's some easy rock scrambling just before reaching the arch. It's a long hike that's relatively flat with no overly steep section, but the hike does total out to 9.7 miles round trip with about 1,500 feet of elevation gain, but this unique arch is worth every step. At number 4, we've got one more spot just north of Moab. This is closer to the town of Green River, but we have Crystal Geyser, which is just under an hour driving from Moab. Crystal Geyser is a unique and rare geothermal feature. It is one of only a few geysers in the world that is not fed by a hot spring, but instead erupts due to a buildup of carbon dioxide in underground reservoirs. The geyser erupts at regular intervals, shooting water up to 60 feet in the air, and it's a popular destination for tourists and outdoor enthusiasts. Visitors can observe the geyser from a viewing platform located nearby. The platform provides a safe and accessible way to see the geyser, and it offers panoramic views of the surrounding landscape, including the Green River and the desert. Next on our list is going to be a place located between Hanksville and Caneville, and that is going to be a hike called North Caneville Mesa. This is very similar to the more iconic landmark here, Factory Butte, but instead of being a standalone tower, North Caneville Mesa is a much bigger butte that is miles long at the summit plateau. And the best part is that you can climb North Caneville Mesa and get above everything in the area. The desert rock formations below and Capitol Reef in the distance make for some of the most unique summit views you could ask for. The hike is filled with extremely loose dirt and scree, some route finding, and a little bit of class 3 climbing, but if you're up for it and like peak bagging, then this is for you. It's roughly a 2 to 3 mile round trip hike, but it does have around 1,200 feet of elevation gain, so it is a steep one. And before moving forward, I want to mention that I have a top 10 list for so many different places in Utah, my favorite 10 state parks, the top 10 hikes and arches, Canyonlands, Zion, and Bryce Canyon, and top 10s and travel guides from all over the globe. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, check out some of the other videos. But let's get back to the list. At number 6, we have the Golden Cathedral, which is off of Hole in the Rock Road in Escalante. I don't think our Corolla could have made it to this trailhead, but it's not nearly as gnarly as the drive that will take you to Reflection Canyon, which is a much more popular hike in this area. To get to the trailhead for Golden Cathedral, you are going to need a few inches of clearance. We drove here in a 4Runner, and obviously in that vehicle there was no problem. This is a 9.1 mile round trip hike with 1,600 feet of elevation gain, and it's worth noting that you are going to descend first, and then you're going to have all of the elevation gain on the hike back, so make sure to save some water for the hike back. Typically we start most of our hikes in the dark to photograph sunrise, but this is one that I would recommend going midday. It will be hotter, but as far as photography goes, in my opinion, this is not a sunrise or sunset sunset spot, and there are about 10-ish river crossings on this trail to get to the Golden Cathedral. Honestly, we lost track. A few of them are waist deep, so make sure to pack accordingly. At number 7, we have another location in Escalante, and that is the Cosmic Ashtray. This hike is 8.3 miles round trip with about 900 feet of elevation gain. For this, I cannot stress the importance of having offline maps downloaded to your phone. There's a ton of route finding on this hike, and it's extremely easy to get lost as you're just hiking along sandstone slabs and you don't exactly have a trail, just a few cairns to follow. Once you're at the Cosmic Ashtray itself, you'll be greeted with one of the most unique views in Utah. You can climb down into the ashtray and explore the deep orange sand inside. You'll feel like you're on another planet. We backpacked this and spent a night out here, which I highly recommend if you're up for it. At number 8, we're heading to the UAS Mountains, which is in northeastern Utah, and it's home to the tallest peak in the state. This is just a general area that I'm going to recommend. We did a handful of hikes here. It's such a beautiful place. I'll share with you my 3 favorite hikes here. The first one is Bald Mountain, which is 2.7 miles with 1,200 feet of elevation gain. This is a beautiful summit that you can climb, and it's very easy, and it gives you great views in every direction. Another great one is Amethyst Lake, but this is a little bit longer. It's 13 miles round trip with 2,400 feet of elevation gain. And then the last hike we enjoyed here is Whiskey Island Lake, but this had a ton of route finding, and this one is 5.4 miles and 900 feet of elevation gain. At number 9, we have Promont Point, which is northwest of Salt Lake City, and it's one of the more unique regions of the Great Salt Lake. This is the area of the Great Salt Lake where the hues of the water are pink. It's one of the most unbelievable places I have ever flown my drone, with some of the most unique shots ever. You can see the pink water from the ground if you visit here, but this is one I would recommend more so for photographers and drone pilots. At number 10, we're heading west of the Great Salt Lake, and we're heading to Bonneville Salt Flats, which the salt flats themselves are an extremely popular area, and you'll always encounter a ton of people. But instead of going all the way down the speedway to the sign, before that road, if you continue driving north and go a little bit northeast, you'll find yourself just below Volcano Peak and Richelle Peak. And this is a trail where it's about 3 miles with 1,400 feet of elevation gain. But this is such a unique hike. When Hayden and I made our way over here and scrambled along some of these peaks, and it just had some of the most incredible views of the salt flats in the distance. So this is a really cool way to experience the salt flats without all of the people. At number 11, we have Mossy Cave, which in my opinion is the best hike in Bryce Canyon, and maybe not the best, maybe that's not the right word, but it is for sure the most unique. This is just under 1 mile round trip with 120 feet of elevation gain, and it's going to take you to a beautiful crystal clear waterfall under bright orange hoodoos. It's such a unique and contrasting landscape, and then you will also get to see Mossy Cave itself, where you can see a natural cave with frozen stalagmites and stalactites. At number 12, we have Cutler Point to the Great Chamber. This is an extremely unique place to visit in Utah and just an awesome adventure all around. It's located outside of Kanab, and the hike is about half a mile with maybe 200 feet of elevation gain, but you will be hiking some of that on sand. The Great Chamber is only accessible with a 4-wheel drive vehicle or a vehicle that can drive on deep sand. For years, we couldn't visit this place because of our car situation, but on one road trip that we did in a 4Runner, we were able to make it no problem. But this is a relatively remote place, so I would not push this if you don't think your car can make it. But once you're in the chamber, it's like a big playground, a massive sandhill inside a perfectly shaped cave. It makes for some amazing photos and is really fun just running up and down the sand. At number 13, we have Moqui Cave, located just 8 minutes north of Kanab. Moqui Cave costs $5 to enter, but it's absolutely worth it to see the authentic Native American artifacts found in southern Utah. There's also dinosaur tracks that you can see inside the cave that were found less than 20 miles from here. The other thing we really enjoyed was seeing the fluorescent mineral display. It's fascinating to see the colors they portray when shown underneath an ultraviolet light. Next up, we have Belly of the Dragon, which is located just outside of Orderville and Mount Carmel Junction. This is a cool hike just off the side of the road on Route 89. It's actually just under the bridge that you're going to drive over. If you'd like to do the entire hike, it's 1.8 miles round trip with about 200 feet of elevation gain, but you can also hike as little as you want. The views will mostly be the same once you enter the Belly of the Dragon, which is just a few hundred feet away from the parking area. It's a massive tunnel and rock cave. It's a unique spot in the area worth visiting, but one note on this place, there is rock vandalism almost everywhere you look, which is really sad. So when you're visiting these places on this list, make sure to not add to this. At number 15, we have Moqui Dugway, which is just outside of Mexican Hat and right next to Gooseneck State Park. Moqui Dugway is a scenic drive that is part of Highway 261 in Utah. This is located near Natural Bridges National Monument. Some say this drive is very scary, but I thought it was awesome. There's no guardrails, which is likely why most people say it's sketchy, but it's also a very easy two-wheel drive dirt road that I'd argue any car could make. The road has so many switchbacks, and they're really cool to see from the top of the road at some of the pull-offs and viewpoint, and if you're visiting Mexican Hat or Gooseneck State Park, this is definitely a detour you want to make. And at number 16, we have Valley of the Gods, which is also located just outside of Mexican Hat. This is a backcountry area that's a hidden gem filled with views that are similar to Monument Valley, but much lesser known. There's a beautiful scenic drive you can do through the valley. It's 17 miles and it'll take you 1 to 2 hours. If the road conditions are dry, most cars can make it, but if the conditions aren't good, you will need four-wheel drive or some extra clearance. Moving southwest, we have Hildale, Utah. Hildale is right on the border with Arizona. It's an awesome hidden gem close to Zion National Park. Hildale is where Zion Glamping Adventures is located, which is an amazing glamping accommodation if you're visiting Zion or the St. George area. We glamped here for 4 days and loved every second of it. There's also a great place for off-roading and riding ATVs. The owner of Zion Glamping Adventures organizes these tours, and he took us out and it was just so much fun. And another few places that we enjoyed in Hildale were Maxwell Park, El Cap, Squirrel Canyon, and my favorite, the Water Canyon Trail. At number 18, we have the Toadstool Hoodos, which is right near the southern border with Arizona. You'll probably pass this trailhead if you're driving to Page. So if you're driving between Page or Monument Valley and Zion National Park, you'll pass right by it. It's worth a quick stop. The trail's 1.8 miles round trip with 150 feet of elevation gain. I'd say it's a pretty easy hike and very family friendly in case you're traveling with the kiddos. And once you reach the Hoodos, you can explore and enjoy all of the surreal landscapes. At number 19, we have the Vortex, which is a very unique hike located outside of Gunlock. You will need to drive on a dirt road to reach the trailhead, but any car can make it. It's not that bad of a drive, and we did it in my Corolla. The hike is 2.3 miles round trip with about 500 feet of elevation gain, but there is some route finding, so you will want to have offline maps for this. But you're just hiking along rocks, and you get to scramble a little bit. It's not just to walk on a trail, so it's a really fun area. And then you're going to find 3 big bowl formations. It's a great trail to do for sunset, and when we did it at sunset, we had this trail all to ourselves. Also in the St. George area, our next hike is the Candy Cliffs and Yacht Flats Trail. Located in Dixie National Forest, this is a 5.3 mile round trip hike with 800 feet of elevation gain. There is some dirt road driving to get here, but we made it in our Corolla, so there shouldn't be any issues for anyone getting to the trailhead. It's a stunning hike, and once you're there, it's just rich, colorful rocks for as far as you can see. It's a really great place for landscape photography and just an open canvas waiting to be explored. And that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you liked it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down below in the comments. And like I said, I have hundreds of other hiking vlogs, top 10s, and travel guides from all over the country and across the globe on the channel. So hit that subscribe button, and I hope to see you on another video. Thank you so much for watching.